Alright. Okay. Big red button. It's pushed. Welcome back, everybody. This is an exciting episode of the Natives in America podcast on the Reservation Radio Network. We have a returning guest, the famous, everybody knows him, we're growing up with him. Here he is, he's back, Juan Buendia. So, say some words.
Hey there, everybody. I'm happy to be back, and I'm excited. Let's do it.
Yeah. And of course, we got Sky here, my road dog here. He's always here. We're doing it. I haven't done a single episode without him. We've been doing this. This is exciting. We're in my tiny studio apartment here. We're making it a studio, and we've got Juan and Sky and Ben in the same room. You can see each other's eyes. There's a scent, mystery scent that we discussed. But I'm really excited that you came. I'm glad you guys both decided to show up in person because we haven't done this yet. Yeah, we haven't done this at all. Hold on, this just sounds weird to me. Okay. Is it clear? I feel like I'm far away when I do this. Okay, good. Alright, anyway. So I already have in mind, I want to know, since we've talked, Juan, the last time, have you gone back and listened to it?
I have gone back a couple of times just to kind of give it a good listen. Especially after you messaged me about, listening to it again. Yeah. I was like, you know what, I'm going to go back and listen. And usually, sometimes I cringe just because it's natural to be like, I don't like to hear myself, but as we were kind of talking earlier, the feedback and the response from it was very positive. Yeah. And I was really happy to see you guys get a follower or two just to kind of, I really appreciate it just to support. But I haven't, I can really sense the growth even from then to now, because and difference, because we wouldn't be sitting right here if things weren't a little bit different. Right?
Yeah, you know what I mean? So, I was wondering how that would play out.
So I'm happy where we are, and I'm happy to have done it, and I'm glad that a lot of people took some information from it and continue to do it, and I'm happy to be back. So.
No, you gave us a bigger audience because I know a lot of people didn't even know we were doing a podcast. Yeah. So your episode really, but we talked about a lot of different things going on, and it was just in the moment, very current. So I think it's our highest viewed on episode 2. So
I believe so. So far.
After this one,
that was one of the most successful. What's cool is I've been going back to the list because I'm trying to bring forward old episodes. I actually think I skipped some, so I'm going back, and it's funny because we're still having those problems in the beginning where it's you hear screaming in the background, and we're having whole conversations, and we didn't even announce the title, So I was just because I gotta search them that way. All right, what's this episode? I'm listening to it, and then we're 20 minutes in. I'm like, guys, what episode? So like I said, we've definitely improved, and I definitely I like watching the view counter go up, right away. I think Sky hits it first, or somebody hits it first almost every time. As soon as the video releases, somebody's listening. Yeah. And I'm like, all right, that's cool. And I hope it's not me, the one listening to it, but I play it, and then I go back every now and then just check, refresh.
You did a premiere one and found the chat.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, I was watching that.
I see that one too.
I was like, oh, okay. I mean, but I didn't realize you could do that too. But I think that's good because you can kind of live watch it with people as they're watching it.
Yeah, exactly. Nice. I got some negative feedback, at least one, and I kind of felt the same way. It was my buddy Jason. He didn't know it was going to be a premiere, and I didn't know there was a difference. And then turns out when the premiere clicks on, it plays the whole thing solid. And he was saying he couldn't go back. He caught some parts, or he came in halfway. Yeah. So he couldn't just listen right there. He had to wait an hour or two after the premiere to have his way with it.
No, I noticed that. I noticed it was like playing like it was live, but it was just because it was going through the video with the premiere.
Yeah.
So,
and I've, as you saw, I guess I was in there trying to get some chatting going. The name of the title.
Oh wow, there's a chat.
Just popping up. This is so exciting. I was excited, really. I want to adjust this.
We know the bare minimum of YouTube.
Yeah. Oh my God, there is so much more to it.
I think to be where you're at, though, I mean, it's well beyond anybody else's right now. It's especially on the res.
It's all appreciated. It's all that. Like, and like I said, as we were setting this up, like all these tiny pieces, the wires, charging for these. I got, I had power go out. We had a battery issue. Got these now. Like,
well, I mean, like I said, I follow a lot of podcasts and just look at them, but I'm really like, even just to see this little device right here doing it for us.
Doing it.
I'm like, that's exciting.
Yeah, it is.
You don't see that.
It's mobile. Like, I got these 2 little kitty bags, and I pack it up, and I can take it wherever. I can do the same setup in your living room, whatever. Like, it's exciting.
I think eventually you get to the point where you're even really, on site somewhere doing something.
Yeah. No, that's
and I'm like, man,
show up to a festival.
Yeah,
we'll be doing it.
Right.
Maybe even live. That might be going too far.
Next rodeo and fair, there's your little box. You're gonna show on site.
Yeah. Hey, that's
even like schedule interviews.
Yeah.
Like, you can be at the Connie's. All right, we'll set you up at noon.
Have people
be an interview
and just do an interview. I mean, respect to KOHN and everything they're doing, but this is like, I mean,
we're not quite regulated. I can tell you that.
No, I get that.
There's a little bit of a freeness to it that I like. I mean, you heard the cussing episode.
You guys.
Yeah. Did you hear it?
I'm sorry.
I was hoping you were like, fuck yeah. Fuck yeah. Okay. So what I was asking, if you went back and listened to it, is there anything? Like I feel like we covered education. We left on education. We were talking about the virus and all that, like how scary things got. How you got there. Was there anything after going back that you kind of wanted to touch on, add to? Is there something different that's changed since you were on last?
Well, I think that as far as being able to listen and hear what it was in that time period, and that was very much the reality.
Yeah.
But like I said earlier, to even be able to sit right here with you all, feel comfortable with it, just shows the amount of change that has happened. But also, I think when, dang, that fan is blowing.
Yeah, it really is.
So no, I think that the overall takeaway for me was that people were just informed to a degree that they weren't before, and I think that that's one of the more better things you all are bringing overall, because I didn't think anything other than having a good conversation with 2 people that I know, and being able to share what my experience is, because I am new to this entire arena. I just turned 35 in March, and dealing with things on the magnitude of a pandemic, and on the other side with the education board, the school board is an entirely different experience in itself. But with the knowledge that we're able to share, or at least information and experience, I think everyone feels a little bit more better about where we are, where we're going. And to be honest, if every single leader did exactly, not to toot my own horn, but if they just spoke and made people feel comfortable, we'd probably all be in a lot better place.
More approachable.
Right. And feel like, okay, I understand what they're doing. They're not just sitting somewhere counting dollars or whatever. all the men that go out there and
swimming in bills.
When you get on tribal council and you have dollars, but it's really, I think that the people that are there for the right purpose are doing exactly everything that they should, and finding different ways of getting the word out there vis-a-vis this type of platform. For me is easier because I'm a little more comfortable with the now. But I know there's a lot of more older generation people that are maybe that's me.
I don't want to turn it off.
No, you're good. But I feel like there's a lot of there's generational differences, of course, that I run into all the time.
Yeah.
But I feel like from that episode and being able to come back now and just have a conversation, I do feel lighter. I do feel a lot more alive, I guess I'll say. But at the same time, with things returning, also means there's other things that are going to come up. Like right now, we're dealing with audits. Audits don't care if there's a pandemic. You better be able to put everything together. And that's just the reality. We're going back to things that are what were normal because everybody's kind of coming back. So there is other stresses, but at the same time, there's at least that lessening of the fear because we're able to have conversations about what's scary. And so I think that's a big part.
I think one of the heaviest thing that came from the other episode you were on was the you couldn't get milk for your kids. That was like, we take advantage of, or I guess, I don't know, we take advantage of our, like we can go to the store that's open, like even in the city, like a store that's open 24 hours, just go and get milk anytime you want, but to put in these restrictions and to be the provider and suddenly I can't give you milk to have cereal, then it's like, I don't know, I just that was how real it got for you, and it was like, man, like, I got scared at that part because it was just sort of like, damn, some of us were just deep in it and trying to figure it out, but there is a lot of positives being able to kind of get back to our those routines and stuff, but it's almost like stuff we did. You're almost kind of grateful, a certain type of gratefulness that you're getting now because you're seeing things. Oh, we used to do that, now we can do it again, and then you kind of like. Again, you're reassured that things are getting better, but I also got to be grateful to be experiencing it as well. So bring on the audits, but I guess with a more better attitude. For me, that's how I see it. But
no, that's a really good point because absolutely, I'm like, finally I can talk about something other than people dying or somebody sick or this family has no food and they're quarantined, they need help. It's a complete difference, and I'm grateful for it. And I'm very, very. I think at some point we do have to turn around and honor everything that we went through by whatever means that we can. And these are the things that I think about. Is there's 79 people who died on the nation directly because of COVID-19. But there are many more than that who passed away and didn't get the proper funeral service or farewell that they deserved because of what we were going through. And so I think all of that is fucking tragic and it's heart-wrenching. But I appreciate that, what I can experience and share is something that everyone just feels like, I didn't think that was anything anybody else felt, but I just think that for everything else that we've been through, that gratefulness, and I agree, just has to be kind of there because you're here and certain people are not, particularly because of that virus. And I guess that's the stickler is maybe they had underlying ailments and maybe they didn't have much more time, but because of this thing, they're not here anymore, and that's pretty shitty. But people are ready, I think, have learned to a degree, but I also understand there's outside influences that are different, bigger than us, that kind of control people's mentality and how they're addressing it.
Yeah.
But the panic attack, man, I've never had one, and I was scared. Like, I thought I was legit gonna not be able to breathe because of that sense of, I'm the man, I need to provide, and I have kids and they want cereal in the morning, and I can't walk out my door and get it. I just think about it right now and I get like a little shaky, but that was where we were at that point. Nobody knew, so of course we were all a little afraid. Do I walk out my door and I'm done at that point? You mean it wasn't that bad, but of course that's where your thoughts go because of the fragility of our own existence, just because anything could happen when you walk outside your door. But when it's something you can't see, I think that's that even more gives it a little bit more of a heightened like sense of urgency to not want to die.
So there's I don't know, there was a lot of different levels of information that we covered, and going back, like, that was another one that really hit home, was this, like, oh, you can't have your funeral. You're telling people you can't do that. Like, does the nation, or maybe even just Sells District, you guys got anything in line to address that?
Actually, and I can share this because I just had a meeting today. What's today's date? The 9th. So if this comes out by next week or whatever, it'll already be done, but there are going to be some changes because of the reports of actual COVID positive individuals has gone drastically down. There was only 7 in the last week or so.
Wow.
Which is way better than it was before, honestly. It's still a lot because of our population. That's still too many, but the vaccinations have also kind of gone up. I think they're out in about 15,000 or more now that have been fully vaccinated, and still I want to say 2,000 or so that have at least gotten one vaccination, and
that's great.
Those things all at least kind of help to move things forward because people, are getting the vaccination. It doesn't mean that you're not going to get COVID, but what it does mean is you won't have the serious effects of potential death and respiratory problems and all that stuff. That vaccine basically helps to lessen that, but you can still get COVID. But hopefully, everyone else continues to get their vaccine. So the wakes and funerals will be adjusted a little bit again. I know in this last announcement they made, they can now have them at nighttime because it's getting so hot. So they did away with the curfew. There's no more curfew. They did away with the set hours of funeral services. Now they can be held, from 12 to 6 or midnight to whatever. But now they'll be able to do, I believe it's church services, which I don't think would necessarily stopped because they don't recognize religious or ceremonial type of events as social gatherings. They're more like a necessary
like that.
Right, so that's what they're looking at it as. But they're also going to be able to allow, again, feedings or at least to-go plates at wakes and funerals. I don't know that they're going to allow the length of time. But I know that they're making a few changes. Also, they're soft opening the nation to bring back certain programs that are going to be required to be on site. I just heard about that today. They said at least they'll let some public notices out by the end of the week, and then Monday next week is when things are going to kind of start lifting up. But it's not free pass to stop doing what we've been doing. It's a cautionary, like, all right, we need to start getting things going. Same as you were talking about with the district. I don't know if you've been keeping up with our page, but we've been releasing, new events that we're trying to start doing. We want to do clip making, violet harvesting, and all of that stuff. Sorry.
What's the website? Announce it so other people can find it, because I wasn't even aware it existed.
Well, we have our Facebook page.
Okay.
So that generally just pumps out information all the time. Sales District. Okay. Facebook at Sales District. We have that.
Okay.
Actually, Sales District of the Thought the Nation, and then we do have a web page, salesdistrict.com.
Okay. I'll try to put those on now.
No, for sure.
Okay.
We try to keep both of them updated. Try to keep a lot of information kind of flowing and going that way.
Okay. Sorry, I cut you off. You were naming some of the stuff that's coming up.
We got we want to do a youth enrichment program this summer. Good. Because we have to try and capture these kids that are all in this mental space that's really bad for them.
Yeah.
I have a very good youth and elder coordinator who is in tune with what the needs are out there. So for me to support that, I'm putting all my effort behind do what you need to do.
Yeah.
Put a little program together. If it's just a small limited program, 10 people only, that's fine. Get them together, get their minds right.
Yeah.
We want to really incorporate the hymn-duck and the culture and a lot of information, just because that's the backbone too of who we are and what we should be feeling. Is if we don't have anything, at least we have our sense of being, our sense of who we are. And a lot of younger kids are kind of detached from that. Our elders, they're dealing with a lot of depression because they're just alone. Nobody's coming with them.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, all right, let's go to the communities and do some really small, controlled elder gatherings. Because they're amongst their communities. Okay. They just need to be with one another, and that's really the only way that I could think of. Because for number one, I'm not there to kill anybody's spirit, but I want people to be safe.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I know that there's things that staying home and washing your hands and wearing a mask won't help.
Yeah.
Because it's a mental kind of state of being.
It's kind of a state of fear going around.
And when you stay in that for a year and a half like we have, it's bad for people.
Yeah. Especially for kids. They're kind of vulnerable to that.
So I think the changes we're making as the district are progressive. They're nobody. I'm going to say this, and I mean it with all respect. No one else is really doing a youth program during the summer when it's the most important time to do it. No one else is kind of looking at how do we go forward other than my team and what I'm doing to support them, because being one of the larger districts in the entire nation with the most enrollment, we kind of have a larger block on our shoulders to say, we have a responsibility to these individuals. I have a responsibility to the people who voted for me. At the same time, responsibility to everyone to be open and transparent and mindful. So, I mean no disrespect to anybody, but I'm also not going to wait. I want these things to be kind of taken care of, and I've taken that same approach in any aspect, especially with the school. That in itself is a different environment, because I'm not the one who makes all the decisions, it's the board. But I can definitely sense that there is a shift in the importance of what our kids are going to be able to do, how they're going to do it, and how we're going to be able to safely educate them. Because the online schooling has its benefits, but it also has its very negative effects as well, and they need to be back in the classroom. And I say that not to, there's certain things I can talk about and can't talk about, but as a parent, I know that. I don't know, you guys probably have your own experiences, but I think that's just pretty much what the nation is looking at and what we're looking at and where things are going to start to go. But specifically for wakes and funerals, I know they're making some changes. Specifically, we have tried to align with what the guidelines have been from the nation. But again, like I said, I know that we also need to plan down the way a memorial, or what I want to do? I want to dedicate like some kind of, I don't want to call it shrine, but a sculpture or monument to really give it that sense of we had something happen to us and lost so many people that meant so much to this nation.
That's nice.
That it's recognized, and the district itself, the capital itself, the district that has the capital in it is giving it its just due, because that's where my heart feels like it needs to be. You know, and I really have that. I really want that to come to fruition. Elections happen. I don't know if you knew that between now and the last time we were here. So there's a new group of representatives that I have to be able to persuade to agree to what I want to do. But I'm always up for the fight. I'm always up for the effort because I think it's important.
Yeah, that's nice. Okay, so I really liked it. Like for so long, I'm wondering if it's your thing, but it's not moving, so maybe not. Maybe you're like in the jet stream. Anyway, all right. Well, it is what it is. So I like that you're thinking move forward progress. That like let's start reaching out to the people who are in the needy groups. But am I also understanding that the
maybe it's not me.
I don't know. Oh, you know, it could be any one of us. We're all strapped into this thing. Okay. Well, one of us is catching the gesture. It might be me. Wait. It doesn't matter. Right. We're not going to capture it. I don't want to turn that fan off. Like, no, you're fine. We got all this man heat in here. I don't know. So, what I'm hearing is yes, forward cautiously. Let's reach out to these needy groups. But I'm kind of curious. Is as far as the educational board, are they still pushing no attendance up until the end of the year, or was this the end of the year?
Yeah,
because I consider it the end of the year, December, but school is up to beginning of spring, end
May
of spring.
28th. I believe was the last day of school.
Yeah, so they're out. That's the end of the year. Does that mean after summer we're going back?
That means that, and this again more information, but next Wednesday, the school board, we really wanted to have an opportunity to hear from the parents, an opportunity to hear from the teachers. So we want to do a forum, and at that meeting, which will be next Wednesday at 4 o'clock. Wednesday the what is that? I don't know what date that is.
I want to say 16. What did you guys say it was? The 7th or the 9th? Yeah, so I want to say 16.
I'm sorry. I got a text. Not bad. June 16th. So June 16th at 4 o'clock, the board's going to come together. We're going to hear from parents. We're going to hear from teachers. We want to get input. We want to get testimony. Let's hear how we did and what your thoughts are. Parents or community at large. So if you guys wanted to attend, by all means, and then just kind of give it it'll be live on YouTube and I think Facebook and all of those things. So at that meeting, we'll also be presented with the plans. And so the board essentially is going to be able to say, okay, are we going hybrid? Are we going virtual? Are we going both? What are we doing? Right now, they are already making preparations and hiring to be able to handle the students at school, which is good. I know it's going to take a lot, especially for our little ones, to be told and to be, hey, put your mask on. Hey, wash your hands. Hey, you guys keep it together or keep it apart. So they're preparing for that. So my question the other night at our school board meeting was, okay, you're doing this, so are you preparing for in person? And they were like, well, yeah. I'm like, okay, well then we really need to have that conversation because I know parents are waiting to hear, are we doing in person or not? So that'll be next week.
How much time is there until school
starts again? Oh gosh,
it's not August.
It is August,
or is it July?
No, it's July.
Yeah, it's July.
I want to say July 19th they're gonna start again.
So little over a month. I suggest you have more than one.
That's true.
I'm just throwing that out there. I suggest you have more than one meeting open in City Hall.
Well,
like I'm rarely hearing about this in a matter of less than a week.
I told because there's a lot of mechanisms and individuals in place right now with the school district that are able to put word out there, and so I'm too quiet. I thought it was too loud. Anyway, there's a lot of individuals who actually have that capability of getting out there and making the word out, getting the word out. So I said, you know what? Get everybody, all hands on deck. I'll push information out there, let everybody know. We'll do the same, and then hopefully we get enough participation that we really do hear. And to be honest, I speak on behalf of the board when I say that we've had meetings about this particular want from the school board.
Yeah.
And we said we want to hear from parents. We want to hear from teachers. Why it's taken so long for it to get together, and now we're doing it at the 11th hour. I got upset last night because we were doing a lot of things way last minute when we should have been doing them way ahead of time. But anyway, beyond the point, but I still have to make it because I don't want that to be kind of the precedence that is continued.
Yeah.
We need to get everybody informed, and not the day or week before, at least a month ahead, so they can all plan, okay, hey, I'm doing something on that day. I need to make time. But yes, there is an outreach individual who's going to push out some information. I try to share as much as I can on Facebook, on Instagram, and hoping this will also be able to help. I mean, I didn't come in here with the intention to advertise.
No, I like
it's a good opportunity, you know. So, but yes, I agree. There needs to be more information on it.
Well, we've got a little over almost 60 subscribers. I don't know about viewers, but subscribers. If you got 50 over there talking to you, I think that's a good number. What was I thinking? Or do you got any kind of comments, guy? Like something to throw on the fire here? Because I got another one.
I mean, everything. Yeah, I mean, there needs to be a discussion.
Yeah, definitely.
On how things are going to go, but I don't know. It's coming so quick that it's just. It always seems that way.
I think even be able to hear from you guys on what your thoughts are would be good for me. I mean, I try to make myself as available as possible, but I also know that I have so many meetings every day right now. It's just crazy. So the thought of, like I was saying, like even when we were planning this, I know I have a meeting last night, I have a meeting tomorrow, I have a meeting. So I'm like, Wednesday, we can do it Wednesday, because that's really how the pace of my life has been. But also it's really important just to get back right here, in the seat and talk, because it also is therapeutic at the same time. So
I actually, you just reminded me, I got an announcement. I think it was you guys talking about the what do you call it, the WAFTO, the feeding area. It's going to be open again to vendors, right?
Yep.
Effective immediately. That was exciting on multiple levels, because now I'm going to be going out there and trying to make a little side hustle on some food. But I was also saw your name and your signature on the bottom of it, like an official form, and I was like, oh, well, I got one. And I saved it. I downloaded it on my phone. Like one of my buddies sent it to me, and he's like, hey, check this out. I was like, oh, cool. I read it, and then I got to the bottom and it said Juan Buendia. I was like, oh shit, I know it. And, so I saved it. I was like, this is going on the wall at some point. This will be some memorabilia. I was wondering, was that your cell phone number on there? It kind of looked like it. I was like, what? Like, you got the office number, cell phone. The sales chairman is available to the people, and I love it.
Right.
BlackBerry.
Yeah.
I mean, exactly. When we started doing that vice chair, my other half, my right hand at the office, he was kind of like hesitant. I'm like, no, we got to put our numbers on there, because otherwise, what are we doing? I don't want him to go to this line that's not going to ring, or it's going to get a voice message. And sometimes, I apologize. Mine does go to voicemail, because sometimes I'm doing multiple things at the same time. But the number's there. Hey, do you have a question? Hey, do you got something you need to say? Go ahead, give me a call. or leave it a voicemail, or text it.
Yeah, text it.
You know what? I see those TikToks about people not wanting to answer their phones. I get that a little bit. Not that I don't want to answer it, but this could have been text. I always think that. I was like, you could have texted me this, honestly, and I would have gotten it, and it would have been the same exact response or same exact effect. But I do try to answer my phone, but I always have this, like, I don't know what it is, but I'm like, oh, okay. You know,
I liked that. When I saw that, I was just like, oh, I wonder. And I pulled out my phone. I was like, I wonder if that's the same number that it was. I was like, wow, our government officials are available. I like it. I meant to ask. I didn't ask you the last episode, and I think it's actually pretty damn important. I was wondering, as the chair and vice chair, was that your running mate, or were you running separate and you both got it? Or did you guys team up and go, like, I don't know if you went house to house, but did you team up and have a sidekick running mate? Mm-hmm. And if so, who was it? So I don't know.
So at the beginning of deciding that this was something that I wanted to do, I had a different person in mind. Okay. I had several people in mind. Okay. They have to, of course, be self-enrolled members. They have to be willing to do it. Mm-hmm. And so, I don't know if I can say the name, but the first person that I asked was somebody who's a little bit older, and he has experience in politics. Okay. And so I approached him. You know, really respectable person, really respectable family. I really appreciate them. Somewhere down the way, we may be related in some way or degree. But anyway, of course, we're all related. But so I asked him, and this was maybe at the beginning of the political, of the whole campaigning, of the whole election year, because there's about 3 months before the actual election day comes. So, approached him, asked him, said, hey, you know what, either you be chair or I be chair, I don't care, I just really want to kind of give this a go. And he said, okay, I got to think about it. You know, he has a job, he has something that he does that's really important to the nation too. So I was like, all right. And then maybe I didn't want to keep badgering the guy, but I did, because I'm like, hey, let me know, because I want to start getting this rolling. I have these ideas. I've got these. We have to campaign, and I don't mean that. And people think about that in a weird way on the nation, you know, because you don't campaign. I mean, technically we don't. It's all, though, that's my family, and we're all going to go vote for them, and you tell everybody else that, you know. I mean, not to be mean, not to be rude, but I think that's the connotation that people put with the elections is, oh, they're just going to get in it because everybody knows their family and knows them. But I was like, not everybody knows me, and I want to actually talk and have a conversation with the people that are actually it's going to affect. Local elections affect you. Community representatives affect you. District chairs affect you directly. All of they do is kind of affects how the overall environment's going to be based on who's there. So, long story short, he came back. He said, "You know what? No, I'm not gonna be able to do it. I want to continue doing what I'm doing." I'm like, "All right, cool." Bruce is my vice chair now. Bruce has been. I worked with him at 208. I hope he's alright with me sharing this. I mean, it's kind of just our general, kind of just our story. But we worked together at TOUA. I left TOUA, and then he was still there. And then I didn't know. I just knew that his overall work ethic, his demeanor, his passion, his conversations, even that we would have about general things, was so
like issues.
Right, issues was so spot on with what the people were actually thinking that I was like, this person's going to be able. Me having the experience on the side of the politics side, being on district council for about 10 years, really gives you a run through on what the hell you're going to be getting yourself into. I wouldn't have done it if my fellow, council members didn't say, you should try, you should do it, you'll be a good chairman. I wouldn't have done it, but because they were saying, give it a run, I went and I looked for somebody that I felt like, after looking for someone else, I went to the next best person, which was Bruce, and took a little bit of a conversation, because I think the magnitude of what you're getting yourself into, no one realizes until you're actually in that position, or in this position. But once he was like, all right, I'll do it. Boom. I created, I had a really good graphic artist. Maybe you know him, Chris Juan, lives somewhere around here now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Chris is awesome.
I asked him, I said, hey, would you help me do some Christopher Juan, Mike Juan's son?
My cousin.
Yeah, you look confused.
I've never heard him go like, I think of him as Christopher. Yeah. So I was like, is that Mike Christopher? I didn't know he did design either.
No, really good. Great design. I gave him the concept, and he went and freaking ran with it, and I thought it was beautiful. I don't know if you've ever seen it. I hope you have
pictures of it. I'd like you to send me one.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I will. Yeah. What I wanted was something inclusive. I want, and if nobody notices, but we included like same-sex partners on our turtle wedges. So we have a mom and dad, a mom and a mom, and a dad and dad, and a mom and a dad, because you want to kind of be open and respectful and honest that these are those ways that we're going. Additionally to that, we added the turtle. The turtle is one of those. It's our namesake. We are Komskut. And so I was like, why don't we have a turtle anywhere in our seal or anything that we do with? So I told him I want a turtle. I want to have some inclusiveness. I want to have the names of our communities, all of them, not just those 4 that we normally see. He took it, he ran with it. I said, I want a splash of gold, and it was cool. I loved it.
So it come together.
Yeah, and he built like 3 separate concepts out of just talking to me. Yeah. And I picked the best ones. I'm like, man, these are great. Thank you. I still have some of them. I'll send them to you. I hope that's okay, but I'll send them to you. And then, boom, I wanted to do some pictures. People need to know who you are, what you look like. We did biographies. We did door to door. We went to Cowlick. We went to around in Sales. Didn't quite get to Big Fields before the election. But I have a lot of contacts, and I was sending out all this information to everybody, trying to put as much information on Facebook as possible, because granted, I agree it is the devil, but at the same time it's also a really good tool to just push what you want out there. And then for the northern communities, we had the flyers, and we were just trying to get them out there as much as possible. But honestly, just the conversation with community members and what they viewed as the normalcy of what comes from the district was really bad. But I think that people just kind of took into the fact that yes, I wasn't completely into, or didn't have all the experience that maybe other people have, but Bruce and I together went into it. There's background checks you got to do now, so we passed those. Thank the Lord. Because I was like, you think that'd be something they wouldn't approve of? But anyway, we all have our errors in life. But once all that came back, it was gung ho from there for like 2 months. We spent evenings. We were out running around to different homes and really pushed it out there. And actually today, for whatever reason, I was looking at the tallies and everything for the votes on that night, on that day, and it just brings me back to, we really went out there and fought for votes that split up communities that usually all go a certain way. You know what I mean? You kind of know who's going to vote for who, especially if they're from that community. And that was the case with the individuals that we were running against. Some big fields, they're heavy on voting for their people, because you should. I think that's good. But I saw that we really did take a good third of those votes, which probably really pushed us further than anything, because if they all voted one way, it would have been chewing for whoever that was. But I don't know. I mean, I think that we're getting into a different phase now of our elections. If you notice this year, it's a little bit different. I think it was a little bit different, but also I was watching things on not YouTube, Facebook that were coming up, and it was really shocking. But Tammy, my girlfriend, she actually told me, she's like, this guy is only saying everything that you used to say before you became chairman. And I was like, okay, because it was kind of like calling out on the things that the programs or the offices were doing. And I don't put it past myself to be able to say that now, but I know a lot more to be able to say those people that answer those phones, or that those people that you talk to, they're not the problems. There's a level that they respond to that is actually where you might be focusing your attention. You know what I mean? Don't yell at the little guy for just doing what they're telling their job is supposed to be. I learned that, and I learned there's a lot of differences in how people will actually communicate themselves or portray themselves based on what they feel like is
what they think images, right? And then they go and portray that.
See, so I was that person, but I'm a little bit better. I'm a little bit better at that now. But I also know that there are some things to call out. There are some instances where you need to say something. So I'm sorry, am I not?
No, we can hear you. I think we're in our zones here.
And that's water.
Do you have anything before I go on?
Go ahead, Sky.
No, I think it's just the 21st. Are we in the 21st century or the 22nd?
22nd now.
Are you sure? I thought it was still the 21st.
It's always the year after.
Okay.
Than what it is.
I thought.
Okay.
All right. Wait a minute.
Let me.
I think we're in the 21st because it goes by decade. I want to say. Right?
Are you?
What century are you?
Are you 100?
We live in the 21st century.
All right, we're cutting this part out. I don't want to hear this later. We're like, all right, these three intelligent dudes in one room don't know.
It's a legit question because I questioned it the other night. I'm like, what is 22nd? Or we're 21st? But I believe it's 21st.
Yeah, we're still at 21st. It changed.
When we hit 2000.
It changed in 2000, yeah. From 19 to 20, so
when we get to 21,000. I know. Yeah. So 2100 will be the 22nd.
We don't know shit.
Benji, I expect you to know these things.
Oh my God!
I come here thinking you got it on.
Yeah, no. Well, I'm going to keep it together.
I like
tomorrow. I can go grab it.
I like when you first said the word campaigning, I thought of people just hanging signs and seeing them on the road, and if you have more signs along the road, you did a better job campaigning. So, like, to see it as this door-to-door, let me hear your concerns on a personal level, that's campaigning that, I think you were saying is not considered, or maybe we have a negative connotation to what it means, because even like when the presidential when it's a presidential election timing, the signs are up and everyone's sort of putting who they're voting for. Like, I wonder how that impacts everyone else's vote. But the fact that you were out door to door actually talking with people, I think that's pretty awesome, because even that, again, the term, but then almost like seeing it as this, like, it's not useful, or it's really not gonna do anything because we vote this other way, but actually readdressing the term, this is how you campaign. You actually make those contacts with people, and even if they didn't vote for you, you still, hey, I'm just an average person just like you, and I want your support because I actually want to do something for my community because I'm here. And I think that's the kind of the toughest part to show, because I mean, I could decide to run for something and put a half-ass,
do it,
like not even campaign and maybe win, but it's just actually caring and putting forth that effort and actually, you know, having a bigger picture at the end that you're trying to create. It's really door to door, you know. It's not just like in the conference room. It's actually getting your feet in the community.
I will say, you know, in my experience that, and again, I just want to speak the truth that I feel like is important, and no disrespect, but there are people who run and know they're going to win, you know, and they don't care to do anything or say anything or attempt what we did. And there are, and they win, and they sit in these positions, and but also
some on name recognition alone.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. That was my main thing. People need to be, and this just goes back to, and just like we were talking about before, you know, how much did I already know to just kind of put into what I'm trying to do, and how much did I have to go learn? I have some experience in marketing. I have some experience in that stuff. Name recognition is one of the main things. If people don't see your name or know it, they're not gonna connect it with when they go to the voting booth. Yeah.
All they see is a list of names. No more pictures anymore. It's like, what was that guy's name?
Actually, they do. But how long has it been?
I was going to say that. It's been a while.
I was going to say on the so there's another question for the tribal election or whatever, the etiquette. But like on my ballot, there was. Man, I shouldn't even be talking about it. One had a picture, one didn't have a picture. One had a picture, and I was like, am I voting because this guy has a picture, or why didn't this lady submit a picture, or just like...
Some people take it that seriously. You didn't care enough to put your picture in here, how much are you going to care when it comes to the real issues? Yeah, and that's what I saw people saying. So, there's a deadline to get your picture in there. And if you're not capable of meeting those deadlines, you know, I think people started thinking that exact thing, where they're like, if this person couldn't even get on here, then obviously they don't understand timelines, deadlines, and they don't think about those things. But I mean, you know,
I don't know. I think of it like on Twitter, and there's like, if you don't, there's the egg. Like if you don't, there's a default picture if you don't want to submit your own picture or upload one. So there should be a default picture. I don't know, but
instead of no photo.
I was gonna say that I appreciate a little get up and go. You know, like I was thinking, in my experience, have I seen people show up? And I didn't get door to door, but what we had was I think there were district representatives of Babakiri. I think Kofas belongs to Babakiri, and the few of the representatives showed up, and I really appreciated that.
Over here?
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Well, they came to our community building. Like we were having a community meeting, and they showed up to talk to us. And like some, you could tell, you know, knew nothing about public speaking. Some were really nervous. Like just, don't put me in front of these people. But some of them, like even though they were nervous, I could tell they knew what they were doing. Like some of them held office in other areas, and they came in with experience, which you continually bring up as your experience. And in general, I think people like to see some get up and go. Like, all right, are they going to work for it, like you said, with the photo, or are they going to take the time to put a photo in there, or are they just going to let it hang? And I'd rather my representatives are getting up and doing something, taking action, being progressive, like you said. Like I was saying, I like knowing you're out there and representing us. Like, and I see it as us. Like, yeah, I no longer belong to Sells District because I moved mine over here to Babo for the community here where I live, and but still, I consider you I consider you mine. Like you're my Wani. Like you went out there, you're doing it, and like not only do I know you, but like you're out there, just representing, man. Like you're showing clearly through our talks that you care what's going on, you're mindful of what's going on, but at the same time you will take action when you need to, and I like that in our leaders and representatives. So there was a few meetings I overheard, and there was a lot of like our meetings in general, like our tribal meetings, they tend to kind of drag on, and there's like a lot of like, let's table that. Let's not talk about that. I want to make Jeopardy or something. I don't know what it is, but they're like, let's just table this thing until a whole other week passes when stuff needs to be taken care of now. So I think people appreciate your get up and go to go do that. And I also wanted to say something else.
What generation do you consider yourself from?
Okay.
Because we've had this conversation, but I think that's what he's saying. Like,
okay, that was
you're
it.
from our generation, but like, what generation do you call yourself from?
Well, I was actually just thinking about that same thing, because I know that there's again, I don't know. I mean, okay. What are the generations? There's Gen Z, Millennials.
X.
Well, I think there's Gen X.
Is it X or Z?
Well, there's Gen Z and then Gen X, but I get them mixed up.
Well, what are we? Millennial.
That's what I'm trying to ask you, because you said millennial.
I hate millennials a bunch, quite a few times, but I'm pretty sure I'm
but we're on that. We're on the spectrum.
Where's
the spectrum of the millennials?
Yeah, so that's why I say Gen Z or Gen X.
You know why? Because we didn't have the things that these kids have now. In the beginning, do you remember? We were growing up. I remember floppy disk.
Yeah,
I remember Oregon Trail.
We were on the cusp.
I remember that big old giant brick of a phone that they used to have.
Yeah.
I remember getting the phone off the hook and having that long cord and walking into the other room and nobody would hear you. And so there's things that I think that we experienced in our generation as we were growing up, but for me, you're asking me particularly, I've always had that sense of being an older soul, so to speak, but still feeling that connection with and having the experience with the younger, I guess, not generation, but like technology and really kind of getting in tune with it, so that I never really held myself back, but also wanted to have certain knowledge and information on this end. That's hard to I guess put yourself in the box, but I think we have tendencies and experiences that put us in that millennial time block. But at the same time, I don't know what the next one up is.
I want to say X.
Is it X?
Well, no, it's almost like that was before us and now it's Z. When I think of millennials, I think of people who are younger than us.
I think,
but we are in it.
We're on that. We're top spectrum.
The cusp.
Yeah, the cusp. Like the technology boom happened really fast, but it happened in our time. Like I think I was still in kindergarten with a giant Mac computer with a huge screen, and it was just black, red, and green, and blue, I think.
I wouldn't say I was like 14 when dial-up was being put into homes.
Yeah.
Because I remember.
Yeah, and it was like
getting on the internet.
Yeah, and it was like 180 kilobytes.
Oh, yeah.
What
we're doing now.
Way up.
And way up there.
So I was also thinking, Sky reminded me when we were talking about generations, I was thinking, you were saying that the spectrum or the arena that you're working in now has changed. And you're saying even between yours getting elected and the next group coming in right now, you're saying there's differences, and I think that's also part of what we were talking about, our generation. Like maybe we, as the younger people, are expecting more, and like we keep bringing up, we're becoming the adults, and it's for us to take the reins now. And I'm thinking that we're shaping the voting sphere as well, the arena, and we're probably expecting different things from you than what people in the past were expected. And so there was a greater point. So what I'm thinking is there's a huge understanding and rules and level of responsibility gap between myself, our generation, and my parents. And my parents, they're kind of older than a lot of people our age have their parents' age. Like, I think a few of my friends, their parents were in like their 20s and 30s growing up, and mine were already like 40s and 50s, and it was like there's a gap. Yeah. But like whenever I talk about the traits that I admire or that I exhibit, I hear my mom go like no, that ain't right, that ain't quite right. I'm like, Mom, you're from a different generation, like totally different. We have some of the same values, me and my mom and my dad, but with our expectations of our representatives and of just people in general, like there's what you can get away with, and by that I mean like I want to say how you act in public, versus and on the internet, because now there's a whole sphere of internet that's available, and people are out there acting and doing what they're doing, which my mom would never do. It's like, I don't understand that. I don't know why your generation is all about this. So I think it isn't just the political sphere, but maybe the generations that are coming up. And there is, like, we being on the cusp, we're the adults taking the votes. Maybe we're the little bit older generation or older people, just above the ones who are beginning to vote, versus like if we were the 18-year-olds just getting the right to vote, and we go out to vote, and like maybe we skip a few because it's like that doesn't matter to me now. And then you get older, about late 20s, our age 30s. We're all about late 20s. But we care now. Like now, it's like, all right, our kids are going to be going to the school, or I remember how it was for me, and I hope that the kids around us are experiencing what we had and maybe more, because hopefully we have more resources. Right? We're thinking if we are progressing, the schools definitely should have more resources than they had. Well, we went. Like, I think we left before the theater area at the high school even opened up. So we were gone before that even started. So they have that available to them. So what I'm saying is, like, it's what you're talking about, the change. It's generational, and I'm hoping that the ones that were behind us are coming up too. We're going to carry on this kind of torch that you've started. And I hope as you move up, and whoever takes your position has that same kind of get up and drive, and I hope they have the go to go and advertise or campaign. And I hope that politics still stay clean and like local, like we have them. And the campaigning part, you said, is different. It wasn't what everybody used to do, but I hope that on that level, people want to go out and say, hey, this is who I am and what I'm about. So I think for whoever's coming up, whoever's going in, I hope they're thinking that and being mindful of that, and I hope you rub off on some of them.
You know what I think about when I was like, and this is so strange, but I do think about those types of things, and I'm like, and I'll say this, openly now, is I don't plan to do this forever. Not the chairmanship. I plan at least 2 terms, because some people will sit there, and get stagnant and stay And I think in 8 years it's good enough. We lost a couple of years with this pandemic, but it doesn't mean that there isn't still opportunity to move things and get things where they need to be. But I think about, and this is probably just, I don't know,
go ahead.
From like the way that the nation went. You know, the nation as in the United States. The nation went so amazingly well. The nation's always been horrible to us. Let's put that aside. Okay, natives always get the short end of the stick. However, Barack Obama gets elected. He's in there 2 terms. Everything is kind of going progressive, and they're moving and they're doing things. And then, bam, you get someone like Donald Trump. And my fear is that what if that happens? As I'm trying to put things in place that are like open and communicative and really based on a purpose-driven like need. The purpose is right here for the people. Let's keep it at that. It's very simple. What are the needs? How do we meet them? And what can we do? It hasn't always been the mentality. I will tell you that. The mentality for a long time was do the bare minimum so that we can make sure we have much more in savings to put away for a rainy day. Fine, sure, cool. Maybe there's an amount that you can save for savings, but for me, and I've said this before, is if I have more food, I'm going to make a bigger table, not bury that food in the ground to try and save it because it's going to go bad and nobody's going to be able to use it. You know, that's my overall mentality when it comes to how are we going to use the resources that we're provided and make an actual effect on the people that it's there for. It's their funding. You know, that money's drawn down for the purpose of what the needs are, what can be done, infrastructure, services, or even assistances is part of it, but at the same time also your own overall like public like works and such. If we had gone, and I say this, you know, if we had gone in a different direction, well, the district probably would have been, meaning sales district and the nation's capital, would probably look a lot different, because I know that there's so many grants for different types of parks, skate parks, lighting, streets, sidewalks. Build that up. Make it look nice. Make people feel proud of where they come from. Whereas right now, there's no maintenance. There's cracks in the road. The streets are coming up. The lights barely work. But I mean, that's just kind of what the reality is. But I think, damn, if I'm going to put in all this effort and is somebody going to come behind me and just be like, we're not doing that anymore, which they can, which is everyone's prerogative once they get into those positions. Oh, we tried that, it didn't work, or whatever. But I hope that doesn't happen. And to be honest, I hope that if there's something else that I'm going to do come the end of what I feel like will be my term, then I do want to leave a lot better than what it was, and move on, but also remain in tune with it, so that way I can kind of still contribute to it moving forward. But again, those things really depend on people getting out and voting, people knowing who they're putting in there. You're putting somebody in there with a like mind, or you're putting somebody in there with a mind that is stuck in the past.
Or they have a different
agenda. Right. So that's where my mind goes. But I do think about certain things like that when I think about how much we're progressing, but how fragile it is for a vote to go a wrong way. And then I'll tell you right now, there are 4 or 5 new council members that were elected that are under 30 years old, or at least in that age bracket. Wow. Where there never has been before. So at least for the South District Council, they're younger, which I'm like, okay, people are feeling like
makes me hopeful.
I need to get involved. I want to be able to participate, and that makes me really happy. Because, but I'm not saying I don't ever walk into a room thinking, oh, I got you, you got me. You know, I don't ever. There's never a sure situation until you actually have a meeting and a conversation.
Yeah.
Because what I think is good, maybe everybody else thinks, it'll be okay, but let's do it like this. And that's fine. I also don't walk into a room thinking I'm the smartest person in the room. There's always somebody better, and I'm really happy that if at any point someone thinks they can do it better, by all means, you know, because I think that that's important to be able to recognize that I'm not the smartest person in the room. I do have my faults. I do have things that I can't address because I don't have either the education or the experience or the mental capacity to dedicate to it, because this position is it's very grand, but it's minuscule in certain parts that you kind of deal with so many little things. At the same time, you're dealing with major long-term things, which is it's difficult for certain people. But I understand where some people might just focus on what's in front of them. But for me, and what I think is our generational type of thoughts, and maybe this is just, you know, like a thought process on my end, but we do have empathy and concern and compassion for certain things that people don't as a generation. People, like you were talking about your parents, I know my mom and dad, they're baby boomers as well. So they have a really different view on a lot of things. And my dad is he's so different. I don't agree with him on a lot of things, but he's just my dad. You know him, and he's just crazy. But he has that, gets mad at everything going on. Like, what is that? I don't know what that is. And it's like, geez, it's just, whatever on your YouTube or on your TikTok. It just makes no sense in this. But if it's anything he don't know, he doesn't care about it. Well, I don't know what that is. I don't care about it. But I think that they also bring a lot of experience into, well, people have done this and people have done that, and so I do listen to that, because that generation too sits on councils. That generation also runs part of the nation, so you have to be able to kind of give and take. I think
you gotta reach across the gap,
and it's the generational.
Include them.
It's not even like a political party; it's generational parties where
and at the same time. They were there before you, so they've been there. They got the time in and the experience, and hopefully, majority of it is positive. But like maybe they've paved the way, and here you come. You got more people coming behind you, and I'm hoping you're maybe also considering some kind of training or upkeep, maintenance for these younger ones coming in. Like, hey, this is how it's done. I would, if you're going to be here, you got to speak up. You got to talk. You got to, just skills wise.
I agree.
Like I hope. Like one thing I think my family. Basically, I'm discussing with my mom a lot. Like she goes to a lot of the meetings here in Coalfields. I go when I'm here and it's going on, and but in the background when we come home, we're still talking.
I want to hear her perspective on it. I mean, considering not that she's an outsider, she's been here forever, so she knows.
Been here longer than I have. So I want to say 40 or 50 years here on the rent. And what she has said is there's people, they're on regular, everybody's normal level, and then they go, what, God bless them, they have the insight or the know-how or something that'll get them into office. But then they go from, all right, I'm a normal person off the street, or wherever they come from, they go in, and now they have access to hundreds of thousands of dollars, sometimes millions, and we both agree that, hey, that's a tempting thing. That's like you're exposed to it. Your worldview is still probably at a different level, and they need like money management training. If you're coming in, you need to have ethics training. All these things that keep them on the ball, because money and power corrupt.
No,
it does. You can't deny it. But if you're coming in, hopefully you're given the path to walk. Somebody's up there showing them on a rep by rep basis, like district by district, community by community level, so that the newcomers, including these people who are coming behind you, are getting set on the right path that will make them both successful and helpful. Like, give them the connects, your networking. Give them, ways of thinking. Like, hey, if you're ever faced with this sort of situation, this is what you do. This is what we hope you'll do, and maybe this continuing good progress, moving forward, is continued. Like there's a continuation. There's no pause. There's stopgap in progress. So I'm just saying, we've had many talks, and that was her whole thing. Was like a lot of people that aren't ready for it can fall victim to this whole enticing offer of like power and money, and we're not on the huge political scale that the U.S. works at, but it's still a lot of money, especially for us.
Agree, 100%. I think I 100% agree with that. I think that what my first goal in coming in was, I know as a district council member prior, there was never any kind of no orientation or no like, hey, this is what we do. It was boom, you jumped in and you learned from those elders because they were the ones who were doing it before us. I learned from very, very strong, opinionated, well, not opinionated, but outspoken elders that were on the council before I was. Rest their souls, some of them are not here anymore, but I know that I took away from that. But it was never ever given to me or to any other individuals to say, here's how this goes, here's what and I want to do that. I want at least a retreat or some point where I'm able to bring those types of information right directly to them. This is your code of ethics. This is your finances. This is what you're going to be dealing with when it comes to investments. This is what it's going to be becoming. You're basically a social worker. You're a financial advisor. You're all of these things because people have all of these needs, and some of it is based on. Some of it is really easy to deal with, and some of it is really difficult.
Complex,
So there's that aspect of it too. You have to be ready to kind of be able to take that on. But I feel like the magnitude or the as large as the sales community is, when I was on that community council, which is basically the community representatives, there was an attempt to divvy up the community into sections and then allow for representatives to be those sections like leaders, because it's so big that not everybody can get to the meetings, not everybody can have that kind of conversation, and it's there. So you know what I mean? You're absolutely spot on that is needed, because people don't understand a lot of things and they get up there. And I've had this thrown at me, I will be honest. When I first started council as a district chair, I started making changes. I started putting forth proposals that meant we were going to spend money, and they're right away. They're like, I know you see dollar signs in your eyes, but this is not what we're here to do. And that's only one or two people. You know what I mean? Because it's those people that are going to say it. But I get it, because not that I saw dollar signs, but I saw the need, and I saw the purpose of why.
I like that.
So, yes, I'm going to submit proposals that mean we're going to spend money, but I guarantee you, in the long run, you're going to thank me for what we've been able to do right now, and I'm sorry that we're having to cut into some of the expenditures, meaning we're spending money, but it's going to a good cause. And one of the other things that I really look at is also internally. So, I don't know, I've shared this before on my Facebook and stuff like that, but I truly do believe that you need to compensate people for what they do. And we can't be giving slave wages to our members, our own people that are working, paying them bottom dollar. I remember working for, I remember my first job, I was making $8 an hour. That was in 2008. And I think now it's 2021, and that job has only gone up $2 since I left. You know what I mean? And that's like asking somebody to do something and be there every day and give out their all, and at the same time at the district office you're dealing with a lot of different aspects of people. So why are we not putting ourselves and giving our people what they need instead of keeping them at a poverty level, giving them what is coming and paying them appropriately? I think we should be well beyond $15 by now, and I am pushing for that type of progressive type of agenda or proposal in a budget. But I do get, why not? Why should the chair get? Because you have program managers right now that make $75,000-$80,000 a year, and they don't do half the stuff that anybody else does in this office. Meaning even the chair, vice treasurer, secretary. And I don't mean that to be rude and to say, well, I deserve that. I think that people are absolutely going to be more drawn to things and want to do things when they know that they're going to be compensated for certain things. You know what I mean? And the nation, I know, just recently did an overall adjustment to a bunch of the wages, but it took 5-6 years. What are we missing here that we don't understand? That people need to be need that respect from us as an employer and to them as an employee. I'm valued. I'm cared for. I get paid what I should be off the reservation. It will be much different. People get competitive wages out there, and there's no reason we shouldn't be able to do that right here with our own people to help lift them up instead of just leaving them at that level, because that's just how it's always been. I hate when anybody says that. We've always done it that way. It just doesn't fit me.
UPS, when I was at UPS, it was every 6 months it was a 50-cent raise. So it was like you wanted to stay there because you knew you were going to get those raises, but it was almost kind of like your value is going up. So that's how.
And I bet you work harder and harder because you know you're going to get.
That's then that's I guess you're dedicated, you're loyal, I'm not going anywhere else because this is where I'm going to be. And I think that kind of, when it doesn't go up, it's just you can just leave. And that's, I hate to say that's not a good job where you're like you can just leave at any time because you know what I mean? It's like you're doing the job because it's low pay. Because it's a job, but everybody wants to progress. And when you're put in a position where you're not progressing, then you're gonna leave. So I guess by our prices, or not prices, by like wages not going up, it shows that lack of appreciation. So it does feel good to get a raise. So maybe our tribal members are in need of one. I think that too kind of changes morale.
Yes, definitely.
But I don't know if we want to go down that road.
No, I think a lot of people think about that and think that's not the conversation I want to have right now. But for me, I think it's important, especially with the way that inflation is going right now. Is crazy. So even if you wanted a car, even if you wanted a home, even if you wanted some things that were pretty much easy to have, it's really hard. And so are we pushing our people to WIC and to food stamps and to all of these things when we could actually hire them, give them good paying jobs, and allow them to at least an opportunity in the world where it's competitive? Is that wrong? I feel like I get scolded. I get told your dreams are too big, but at the same time it's not even a dream. It's just kind of like, why are we not even right there at this point? I'm sorry, but I don't think that certain, because of the positions, deserve less because of what they do or what they don't do. Anybody should be deserving of something, especially evaluations, especially performance reviews, especially merit increases, cost of living increases. Those things are just like they're so super untouchable because people don't like to talk about it, and they think oh, that's what you guys want to do is talk about money. Yes,
bigger than that.
But it's also an effect. It's a cause and effect. When we're talking about people being able to afford certain things, afford to have a family, afford to just, most of the times have to live off of the reservations because there's not enough homes. I sure hope that you're making enough to be able to get back and forth with all that gas and at the same time feed yourself, pay your rent. And I think we set a lot of people up to fail by just giving them shitty wages. My opinion, honestly, guys, I just think that
it's a good opinion, and I agree with it. So, an unexpected side effect of this last pay increase that they did in Tucson, it was like from 12, I think, to 15. It was a big one. It was a big jump, and it was a progressive jump, and it was probably what they overdue. And one of the negative side effects that came up was prices went up because the people who were offering all these services, they had to pay their employees more. But then, when you really think about it, it's like, okay, certain groups getting their pay increase, everybody is paying more for the services, so then everybody needs to be re-examined and say, hey, at a minimum, how much do we need just to live, just to feed our families? And we got to be able to make that. So not just the certain people get this pay increase, but also everybody gets re-examined for, hey, what's a minimum cost to live, so that we're not pushing people to these other services that probably aren't entirely necessary if they just got paid a proper wage. And I like that you touched on that. I like that that you actually hit points that I wanted to hit. And I was actually curious. There was speak in the last election about a universal wage, I think is what they called it. Anybody? I'm throwing it out there. There was something called universal income. I think is what they called it. I heard it on another podcast. I heard.
Are you talking nation or are you talking
the U.S.?
U.S.
U.S. was talking about it. And well, not just that, but it was like there was like a universal income. I think is what they called it. And what they were talking about doing was giving every citizen $1,000 a month.
Oh, okay.
And the whole thinking was, look, we're about to, a lot of people are going to get laid off with technological advances. Not a lot of jobs are equal to tasks. The offerings, we need to hire people. And what they started going was, look, people are struggling now. We need the money now. And they're saying we're spending billions on all this other stuff while our people are starving. There's still people starving in one of the richest countries. And I'm saying we have the resources, and a lot of times, like you said, it's buried away to the side. And again, to what you're talking about, people going off the nation, we talked about it with Cassandra, man. She was a qualified medical practitioner, and it infuriated me that she wouldn't be hired by our own medical service.
I agree.
We need to have people that understand the people they're serving, not just coming from out of state and they're just like, hey.
Sad fact about that is it's actually our own people that are holding down our own people and not hiring them.
Yeah, well, my mom brought it up. She's into genealogy, and she's come across this, that a lot of families are all related to one person, and maybe that one person is this last name, and then there's another person that they live in the same village or the neighboring village, and they hated each other, and now everybody on their family tree is left out because the person on the other side has issues with them. Like there's these held on traditions of like, yeah, we're gonna have it, you can't have it, and like I said, it made me furious that somebody as talented and like outgoing as CJ got turned away. And then my sister, she started working at the museum. She just got her master's degree. Congratulations. She just got it. And she's trying to go back to the museum, but actually run shit. Not just as this little person, they have a tiny voice, to these outsiders that are being brought to run our museum. And the only reason they're getting it is because their qualifications are through the roof, or outsiders are preferred to people who live here. It's going on. It happens. Like you laugh, but
no, I'm not laughing. I'm agreeing.
Or you snorted. Like,
you're right on it.
Like man, like our people. My sister was experienced. She'd been there for years. She got in on the meetings that they had, the council meetings, the decision making. She even planned a bunch of projects. And then when it comes time for her to go, okay, my internship's up, and she did work way past the internship, but it was like there was no path to the next level for her unless she went way beyond her means at some point to, hey, I gotta get a master's degree. And even now she might not be able to get hired. And it's like, hey, she wants it, she did it, she did the work, and we need it. I think in general our own citizens would go, hey, we'd like an autumn in there, or local. We want somebody here that we know, we appreciate, and we can talk to, or they're approachable like you, and we want them now. We want to own it like we actually own it. Like, hey, it's got our name on it. It's got our pots, like our history in there. Our himitaki. It's the place. It's ours. It's one of those few special places that is ours, and it represents us. Why aren't we also running it? So, congratulations to Jen. She got it. She freaking got it. Took a long time. And even now, we're kind of like, oh, she better get hired. These guys will be fools not to take her. And, the problem is, if we're not offering it, if we're not taking them, if we're not paying them, she's going to go elsewhere. And that'll be a loss to the nation.
Completely.
Damn.
I agree.
The talent will go elsewhere if we don't open up our eyes and create a path. For newcomers to come in and get their feet wet and eventually take over.
No, I don't mean to smile or smirk or anything. I just think that it's spot on to exactly what the realities are, and I wish people would kind of pay more attention. There is, but I think, the reason that I keep saying no disrespect is because of that exact what you just said. There are people who knows every single, and there's. There's always somewhere, somehow, that somebody doesn't know or heard this and say, you know what he said. But I also understand that there's a reason for being able to speak about it and being able to use a platform to talk about it, because you're hitting exactly what needs to be said. And not even from my perspective as a tribal leader, but as the people in general on who listen to this podcast, who maybe hear it and share something, it'll permeate then into, okay, something's happening that is not right. I heard Sandy's podcast, and that part in particular, completely, I was like, I can't believe that. I knew what she was about to say when she said they didn't hire me, and I already knew that right there is the major problem we already have on the side of the nation, and it's too bad. But
she tried again, and again, and again.
It's too bad, but we have an opportunity to change it. I think each of us coming up, and like you said, have experienced something at one time or another, and we're finding different avenues to find a way to get things better. And I know that there's a lot of individuals who are tired of it, and I've heard so many stories like that. I tried. They said no.
I tried. They said no.
And then the other side of that is to know who's on the side of that hiring side. It's our own people, and they're the ones saying, not them. Go with the person that comes from somewhere else.
And they look good on paper.
Right.
But maybe they don't know a damn thing about
and
where they're working.
Don't have
they don't have the connection
into the own people, into our
own
community.
They're not invested in it because
it's a job. It pays good. I'm gonna go out there and do it. But that's a whole other podcast.
We've been lucky by some of the people that have come here. But again, like Cassandra, that's our talent going somewhere else. She's working in OK now. Kansas City. Okay like this. She's working in Kansas City now. Like that's our talent going somewhere else.
No, I agree.
I mean,
in the medical field.
Yes, and that's like we have a lot of like the fire department. I worked for a little bit with them, and I didn't work with the TOFD. I didn't work with them. I worked with the wildland. Oh, but we're in the same building, so I saw maybe a captain and one other guy from Santa Vera that I worked with, but everybody else were firefighters from outside the res. And like they're dealing with people's heart attacks, lost cars, snakes. They're handling all this crazy stuff, but it's everybody, and they're included in all these facets of the nation, and they're the ones that show up to help in your hard time, and they're not even from here. Now, I'm not saying that they care less, but I'm saying that when you belong here, when it's your neighbor, you do want to do the best that you can because you're invested in them and you're connected.
No, yeah.
And I think we're losing that. Where there's a gap. So
it's being pushed away.
Yeah. So what I would like, even on a district level or the our nation level, some sort of initiatives to say, hey, we like the casino. It has a preference for first our tribe, then other tribal members, and then everybody else, right? Or it says it on paper.
No, Benji, it does say it on paper. Yeah. Nobody follows it.
Oh, well, it's disgusting. That's disgusting.
Fluent preference will go to nations members, and then other tribe members, and then non-nation or outside. Yeah. The same with the district. It says it will go to district members, then to nations members, and then to other tribes, and then we have that preference. Okay. And so you mean those things are in place, and I think the nation just actually reaffirmed it.
So say it's in there, but then we're still not getting hired, or say somebody more qualified comes along. Like, say they had their education run one way, supposedly, like they're like they follow the path that's expected, but it's like, all right, if our people are applying and they're not at that level, then we need to change that here. Like, I love that we got a TOCC. I don't know how high the education goes to compete, but I feel like we should be making our own members competing for these jobs that are here. I want people living here, seeing what's happening and being able to go out and do something about it, and hopefully not leaving because there's nothing here that'll hire them, feed them, pay them, whatever it is that their needs are being met. Like what you continue to talk about is our general need. Yeah. And I'm hopeful with you in there that you can make some real change in that, and that you smile at somebody and they smile. That's a contagious, positive thing, and I hope that what you're doing, people see and replicate and do, and the ones behind you are doing the same thing. And speaking the same terms, like I like that you said, keep it simple. It's like, hey, we're humans. We all have this basic need, and a lot of us is not getting met, and that's where our representatives come in. I hope they're meeting those needs, and they're up to the challenge, and they want to learn. Like, even if they don't have the experience coming in, they're willing to learn it, and there's a path for them to learn it. Right. So I don't know where we're going with this.
I don't mean to get us off topic, but did you hear about that Popeyes that were not serving to white people? It was just there's only black people. I don't know if it was in Louisiana or where it was at, but it was a Popeyes franchise, and they weren't allowing white people to eat there. It was just black people. Yeah. Okay. That popped in my head when you were talking about just everything going on. But I don't know. It was like there's something crazy drastic need to happen for all these things that we're talking about for things to change, or is it going to be subtle, these little things over time? We're not going to have those issues anymore. But
I think the first part is just having the conversation and opening it. Because I think right now, like I said, there's certain things people just won't talk about and refrain from even having that conversation because they know it's going to put a lot of people on the spot, and it's going to make people accountable again. And right now, no one's being necessarily held accountable. Absolutely, they're not, because obviously there's already mechanisms in place that are supposed to be there to support our people, but for whatever reason, they're not being done.
Yeah.
But again, like I said, that's a whole other podcast and a whole other conversation, because I think that there's more we could dive into. But it's a big issue. It's really big. Like I said, and even when we were talking a little bit earlier about how this right here, what you're doing, could be kind of that mechanism, and you could go on site to certain things and talk and get real life responses about certain issues, and then be able to put that out there. I think it's important. Bringing people on like Sandy, bringing people on like anybody, Rob, Megan, Amy, you know, that this ability that we have right now that you're allowing us to participate in is really powerful, and it can be. And I think that you guys are doing a really good thing, just kind of giving us the opportunity to speak. And again, I am one person. I do try my best. Honest to God, I give it my all. You know, I believe you. It's such a trying, tasking job, but I've never once woken up thinking, I gotta go to work. I'm like, I gotta go to work. It's time to get up. It's time to get in the shower. It's time to do. You know, I don't. If I ever get to the point where I'm like, I don't want to get up, then I know it's time to step away. But right now, every single day is, you know. And of course, sometimes you get tired, but otherwise, you know, it's get up, get into work, get to the job, because that's where the level of importance is for me, and what I want to give to the people is that respect. You know, we put him in there for the job to do the job. He's in there hopefully doing the job. So pretty much.
Well, I can say as a witness, that's awesome, to the listeners, that I believed you over the phone. I didn't see your face. I'm looking at your face now, and people believe me. He means it. I agree with him, and I like hearing it on this kind of open discussion forum, because I'm otherwise not hearing it. Like maybe on KOHN, I haven't been around very much, so I don't know what I'm missing. But they were publicly doing the meetings,
the rock.
Oh yeah, well, Tucson, man. Oh, okay. my talent was taken elsewhere. The same thing. Yeah. All right. I had to get out to do more, and now that I'm coming back, I want to share this ability and wisdom, and I would like to put it to work in some place that I find where it belongs. I want to move on to another question, unless you got something, and I think we can close on it. But you got anything to add on what we just talked about?
What generation do you feel like you're from?
I'm Gen Z.
Really?
Gen Z, Gen X.
You think so? You think so?
Yeah, I got a little. My name was right at the end of the list. The last of the list. I ain't no millennial.
All right. I just wanted to ask.
Typical Gen Z.
Typical. No, when you said I'm a millennial, I'm like,
this guy.
Not talking for me, man.
Can't talk to you guys.
I'm jamming in the 90s, man.
All right. Nice.
I don't. What was the question?
Did you have any questions?
You want to throw anything on before I go to the next part?
I think, like we said in the beginning, how there's been a lot of progress from the last time we talked, but also how in our own day-to-day and our purposes of what we do, we've had a lot of dark times in the past year, but I think right now for us to kind of just go over things and be, positive, because, we could dwell on a lot of negative shit going on and stay there and not ever leave that place. But I think being positive and being, open, and again, maybe having those conversations that we duck because it's awkward or it's the elephant in the room, but I felt good about what Juan's doing, what our community is shaping into, and I constantly wrestle with that, because like I know we all have our visions of what we want in our future, but in today, in the present, you know, we're creating that. So sometimes it's hard to like find the line where we're still getting there, or this is what it looks like, and we're making the magic happen, or we're the adults being responsible, doing what we're supposed to be doing. But it's good to just, you know, talk about it, but also sort of you know, bring up some other things that are in the mix of it all, because, you know, we kind of been idle with, you know, some of the topics that, you know, that we can't talk about, or, you know, that we've been avoiding because either we just been, I keep saying lockdown, but, well, I don't feel like lockdown anymore. I mean, there's a little bit of lockdown, but other than that, it's like, I don't know, a brand new day.
I agree. I think that mentality has to be exactly where we are, because, and one of my colleagues, who's one of the district chairs, actually made that comment, was, you know, we can always dwell on it, but there's nothing we can do by dwelling on anything. We're here for a purpose, and as it goes, that's just the reality. Is that you have hard times, and then you have times where you build back and get better, and then you're gonna probably have something else happen. But the main point is never stop, you know, and just keep doing it. There's a lot of things I think that we could actually go and dive into and really help people, as a unit, but as a collaborative. I think that this type of outlet is, like I said, therapeutic, but at the same time informative, and at the same time brings comfort to people, just kind of hearing something and feeling like they're actually, oh, I had that thought, and I do feel like somebody's actually talking about it. Now, I also try to be very solution based. Okay, well, we're still talking about it. What kind of solutions can we put out there? And actually, now that my effect on the scale of the district is minimal compared to what someone could put into place in the side of any other council, or especially the legislative council, that would just have that same mentality. We've had this conversation. What is the solution that we're going to actually come to? So trust me when I say that those are thoughts that go through my mind, but dealing with what is important at this point, and is prioritizing and making sure that it's taken care of, while never forgetting that. Try to make sure that I'm also including, you know, what are we missing? How do we get it and make it right on this end where I'm responsible for, so that doesn't happen. And hopefully that just continues, like you said, to carry on, and people see it, people hear it, people understand it, and they're like, you know what, I should just be good to people, because we are one person, one nation as a whole, and we're not going to be able to do anything if we keep putting each other back in the back seat. So
exactly. I wanted to bring up, before we move on to the next part, where is it? First I meant to bring this up, I keep forgetting. Where is the meeting going to be on Wednesday? You said it's the 9th or 16th?
It'll be virtual, so we'll probably be sending out a link.
But that'll go out. Okay. The other part, my brain. Damn it. Alright, it's gone again. But okay. So I like your plans. I like that you're energetic, but you mentioned after. Like I just recently saw this whole interview with Michelle Obama. And, you know, as her first lady position, which it's not her position, but they do traditionally take on roles in different areas, and what she took on was getting kids active and feeding the hungry. And when the presidency ended, she didn't just go, okay, that's the end of our term, it's done. She kept going and going, all right, this is, the hunger didn't go away, it's still out there, I still have a job to do, so she continued on. So like you said, at some point, you have an idea of how long you want your I don't want to call it a reign, but your position, your title. You have a length in mind. You kind of even mentioned 8 years, but I don't know if I want to lose you that quickly or whatever. I don't know, but like you mentioned an afterlife, and I wonder if you've even given it like any serious thought or any kind of like whimsical, like what if? Like do you have any idea what that looks like after your position?
And this is a conversation I still have to have with my other half, because I know that it is tasking on more than just me when it comes to meetings and stress and all of that stuff. But I know that my next move more than likely will be to the Untitled Council. And eventually the chairmanship of the nation. These are just thoughts and plans. I mean, not plans, but the progression for me feels like I need to be able to do what I have to for my community, my district, and get things on the go, on the right path, and still, but like I said, still, it doesn't end when I'm done. I still want to be involved and included. But at the end of 8 years, shoot, my oldest daughter will be graduating. And that just kind of puts things into perspective. That it seems short, but at the same time, a lot of life happens at the same at that same point. And perhaps I get to there, and I don't. You know what I mean? But I don't see what my drive and passion for wanting to do something good in this world, I don't see that ending in 8 years. I don't see that ending in my lifetime, because I think that irregardless of my position, I'm always going to try and make sure that I'm involved and progressing and providing some sort of benefit to my surroundings or to my family, to my community. Because I owe so much to just in general the way that I've been kind of brought to this point. And Benji, maybe you have experience in this. Of course you do, because you're half up and I'm half up. But I've always really more keenly identified with my Autumn Himdak and my upbringings and all that stuff, because I've been here and we've been raised. But to have a name like mine and to have a lighter complexion was really difficult in the beginning, because of how people viewed it and how people wanted to always make it a point to say you're not Autumn, you're all this, you're all that. But in the 10 years I was on district council, that really faded away. To me, it faded away much more, because people just saw that I was there for the right reasons and was wanting to do what I needed to do. And eventually it just, you're Autumn. You're here for the people, and that's what you show and you give. Anything I tried to do is do that. But I even did some trainings, and the communities and the district paid for certain things that I wanted to do. So I do feel like I owe and I want to give back. But at the same time, now this position, this chairmanship is by the will of the people. They decide who's in and who's not, and I have to give all honor and respect to that. And when it's time, and maybe there will be an instance where they say, you should be at this level, or somebody will come to me, and I really kind of take it like that. Another thing I really look at is and this is kind of on the side of but like science. I look at different things in my environment, and you know what, one things that I always see when something really good is going to happen is a hummingbird. And I don't know why, but anytime I'm having any kind of really deep or dark thoughts, or having a really hard time thinking of where I'm going to go, I'll usually be looking outside or be outside in some way or look at a window, and I kid you not, friggin' hummingbird will usually come, and this sense of relief kind of comes over me that don't worry about it, everything's going to be okay. I don't know what that is. I know that there's a sense of spirituality and centricity of like my being, and I feel comfortable sharing that because I think that a lot of people don't really stop and look at science and to a degree and hold it to that magnitude. But I've noticed since 2010 in making decisions for myself or my life, have always had some aspect of I don't want to call it a vision, but a visit from a hummingbird. And so I always do that, and a hawk. If I'm going running and if I have a lot of things on my mind, literally every time I'll always see a hawk, and it'll always fly over me or fly by me or fly with me, and I just kind of base my thoughts on, okay, it's basically telling me forget about all that and deal with what you got right here. And so I've really kind of, not to say I've based decisions on it, but I have felt more comfortable in making big decisions like what's next, on whether or not I have that type of connection, and I see something that gives me that drive or that sense of this is what I should do. So I do plan on making it the next step, and whether or not it takes, hopefully in those years that I am the chair, things do change a little. People get more interested in wanting to run for legislative district, everything, because I think that's the push that we need, is just those fresh new minds and people that aren't shying away from it anymore. I think and I'll go back to the recent election we had, for our district alone, there's always a hard time getting representatives to run, but this time there was more than enough needed. And I was like, okay, that really shows me people are like, I'm going to put my name in there, I want to do it. And they actually
stepping up.
They actually stepped up, and they won, some of them that had no experience. So I'm like thinking like you, and what you're saying is they're listening, they're hearing it, and they want to, and all it needs is to see somebody else like me. Well, he did it. If he can do it. But at the same time, like you said, they still need support. They need effort and path and empathy and training, because I guarantee you, I learned the hard way.
And mentors.
I learned the really hard way, but I had those individuals that tested me, and I didn't want to quit. I didn't want to do it anymore. But you power through, and you stay, and you keep doing what you need to do. But I like that question, because I think that's important. Hopefully my response doesn't turn everybody off, but it's like it really is just it's really personal, and I think that but at the same time, people just need to hear that. Like I said, when you think people don't think they think anybody thinks like them, and yet we do. I have anxieties. I have fears. I've got things that I love and things that I hate, and I never ever try to be this perfect person, because I'm not. But I do know where my passions lie, and where my commitments lie, and responsibilities, and I do want to be able to do all of it. But I'm one man, one guy. So
sweet.
It's alright.
Now, I don't know how much time you have. We still didn't get to ask you if you believe in aliens. Or if you have an alien story.
Dude, I don't, but I've heard so many actual experiences that
you have to say that.
What?
You have to say, do you, as a chairman, No.
I mean,
you've got like a South District book of the secrets of the village.
I was just thinking about that. I was thinking, hey, nobody ever passed me the top secret book. I was like, oh, it's probably buried somewhere, or I'm gonna come across it in one of these offices.
When you haven't gotten the chairmanship.
And I was like, maybe the chairman like gets this book of secrets. Guard this if you like.
And denied.
Never. Yeah. No, okay. Yes, I do. And I don't know that I have a fear other than there's always fear with misunderstanding or unfamiliarness. Yeah. Oh, but then today I watch the weirdest things on YouTube and stuff like that.
Okay.
And they're always talking about the more. I mean, we've only what do they call it? We've only explored 5% of the oceans.
Oh yeah.
And they're going even deeper and finding these weird. Oh my God, those things are what I always think about that whenever I'm at the beach or anything. I'm like, there's so many things under here that you don't even understand. Yeah. And then I get scared. But I think aliens are okay, cool, welcome. Yeah. Deep sea creatures, no, stay away from me. It's not scary.
Well, do you believe in mermaids?
Dang, I just saw that too. I did see a video, but it was proved to be a hoax, I think. But merman. But there was this creature too that they were looking at under there, and it could like change its form, and they were thinking that the reason why people thought mermaids were there is because it looked like a sheet of paper, and then it like moved, and then it looked like a body, but it was like this undersea creature that can manipulate itself.
Yeah, like an octopus.
Yeah. And then it moved, and it like went this way or whatever, and it was like, whoa. But I think there's a lot of other stories too that it's kind of hard to say that those weren't actual experiences just because I haven't experienced something.
Yeah.
I think so. I don't know.
We haven't. We've tried to talk about aliens, and we want to talk about them, but I don't know how.
I think it just comes up every now and then. I've got a sense of wonder for it. I think it's a big waste of space if it's just us. I think there's maybe an upper, like ancient aliens. I buy into that. Like maybe some of these religious figures or stories were not necessarily angels, but aliens or beings that had evolved or became something larger than us with capabilities, and not just magic, but abilities. And they haven't been here so long. I feel like civilizations have been set up because of these people, these visitors, and the fact that generations and ages pass by between different civilizations, and they recall the same people and events. Like our tribe has stories of coming up from underground, and there's ancient caves and cities underground that have been discovered, and then so it's like, hey, what once was just a story might have just become a historical story that was passed, because we're a people of oral tradition. And there's also like we have the big flood story. Yeah, we have our own flood story. We have Etho, who's this shapeshifter, watcher, protector, and at the same time there was also monsters that put us in peril. And my main experience has been with that book. De Grazia. I got it right there.
Do you?
Yeah, I'll show you after this. But images and stories and depictions of these different types of beings that existed, and we have a connection to it, a story and a history that we pass on and tell. I remember Danny coming to our classes and telling this old man, this bent over man, and he's like getting energetic and dancing and acting and using voices, but he's passing on the tradition that we're still passing on. And I just kind of start listening to the ancient alien stories, and they're connected. And I'm starting to buy it more and more. The more I learn, it's like, wow, like, there's more, there's unknown. And like, I don't remember if you went through the same program, but we went through a program of ignorance. And it wasn't ignorance as a fault, but ignorance as an opportunity to learn. So there's wonder, like knowing what you don't know, you know. Mm-hmm. You know, questioning everything.
Are you telling me you don't believe they exist?
Oh, I believe.
Oh, okay.
I believe. If we ever do, you're welcome back to join us on like an aliens episode or something. Like we'll
outside.
Yeah. It's hot in here, right? Yeah. I got a sense of wonder, and I smile every time I think about it. There's a threat, like you mentioned, the underwater creatures that are out there. There's a threat, but I think there's balance in everything. There's balance in everything, and I don't know. The unknown makes me smile. I'm like, there is more. Like almost like having just looking at your glass. Is it half full, half empty? There's more. Mm-hmm. There's obviously more. And if you apply that and remember that sometimes when things are getting low, like I think you're seeing the hummingbird and the hawk gives you that sense of confirmation that it's more the feeling, not just seeing the bird, but it's a reminder to get your mind back where you knew what you want. Mm-hmm. Like, all right, it's like, oh, there's so many decisions, but then it brings you back to that. It centers you and goes, all right,
even keel.
Yeah, I know what I want. Or it brings you back to that mentality of I can.
Stop questioning yourself.
Yeah,
because that's basically what
it's usually doubt. It's doubt when you start questioning. Yeah. So,
well, that's what the more.
What I'm saying. Yeah, the more. That's what I'm saying. There is more, and you get in touch with that feeling and confirmation in yourself from this hummingbird and the hawk. It's like you see it, and you go, I know what I'm gonna do.
Yeah.
So,
for sure.
That's what I'm talking about. There's more.
Yeah.
And anytime you forget that and start getting bogged down, there's more. And I think for you, even in your job, there's more people than the people you deal with on a daily basis. There's more behind it.
Yeah.
And there's more at stake. And the more you do, the better.
No, I agree.
So I like that you mentioned the hummingbird, because in my mind, it's a reconfirmation, it's a recentering that you're looking for, and then you see it, and it's like, it's gonna be okay. I like that.
Yeah, I like that.
I think we should all find our hummingbird, or something, whatever centers you, and to remember there's more going on. Yeah. It's easy to get tunnel vision and go, hey, we're just this small nation. Or hey, we're just a small people. We have very few members. But then there's other tribes. There's a bigger nation. There's the world, and we're all connected to it in some form of history and blood and DNA. So I guess I'm just saying, don't lose faith. I'll help you move on, and I hope you find your niche, whatever it is you're looking for. All of us. I hope we all find something, and together.
For sure. I heard that.
Yeah.
It's great.
Amen, brother.
Amen.
Okay. Any last words to say to the people? Anybody, listeners?
I had it, but I lost it. What were you just not saying?
Oh, that. Wait a minute. What were you saying?
More.
That.
More. There's more.
Well, I think we're constantly in this place where we have to know if we're right or wrong, and sometimes that's not the important part. It's still, like what we're saying, the more going after these big things that we want in our life or in our community. So sometimes it's not whether I'm right or wrong in my decision making, it's whether I feel I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. And that connection you got with what you got has gotten you already so far. So keep going. Keep going, man.
I do think about that. I think like whenever I'm in a meeting and I get a lot of opposition, I think about, and one of the council members actually said this to me. She was like, the more people that, even though you see these people right now in front of you that are against you, there's so many more people right now behind you, even if they're not here.
Yeah.
And I was like, I really I was like, you're right. I try to find that medium or that compromise or that, because I don't want anybody to be absolutely angry and for everybody to be, I want people to be happy, not that I don't want them to not be happy, but like for me, if I can find that compromise or that happy medium, then I'm more grateful to be able to do that. But I've also learned that there's a majority that also I need to be able to respond to, that also wants to see these things done. And while giving that opportunity for the opposition to speak is fine, they can say what they want, but don't forget you still have majority of the people behind you, and I have to respect that insight or that message from an individual, from a council member, because they were like, you're never going to please everybody. Don't ever walk around thinking I'm going to make everybody happy today, because there's somebody that's always going to be upset to some degree. But I've really, 2 years into this chairmanship and 2 years into trying to still navigate some of those things, but it's gotten better. And I really do think like just like this, like having conversations about it and hearing perspectives from people that I respect and I appreciate is grounding, and at the same time, like you're right, like it's what people need to hear and what we need to be on the same page with. So I appreciate it, guys. And to anybody else listening, all I want to say right now is I know that COVID-19 really put a dampen on a lot of things, but there's also a lot of things that we're trying to move forward with. But at the same time, I know that there's a generation or a sect of people who are really not getting on board with vaccinating against this disease, and I say that because not to push an agenda or push anything on anyone, but it's going to be part of our lives for years to come. And same thing with the flu shot. Eventually it's going to be a seasonal type of thing where we're going to be having to take this vaccine. But I know a lot of younger generation people who are not getting vaccinated, and it's too bad. I mean, I think that we're given these types of tools to try and help and aid our way through this. I've tried to do as much research as I can to make sure things are good. I plan on, possibly getting my children vaccinated when it's available to them. They're still too young, but I think that if anything, I don't know. I don't know how to break that barrier with people on the cusp of I'm not going to do it, and I'll do it when certain things are met. But we all got it. I got it when it first started. I haven't turned into anything. I don't have an extra arm. I'm not magnetic. I don't give off. I don't know. So I don't know. I mean, I get it. I get the fear of the unknown. Again, we're talking about that, but I think if we can protect everyone as much as possible, it's always going to be the best way that we can go. And I wish a lot more information was able to be spread from the people that are at those degrees of level of understanding and information. But for me, to everyone else, I just really encourage everyone to try and get their vaccines. Do your research and kind of, but research in the right areas, and don't kind of fall into those rabbit holes that turn into conspiracies and whatnot. But I don't mean to push any kind of agenda or say do this because I'm getting any kickbacks from Moderna or anybody, because I'm not. It's just, I think if we want to get to a point where we're more open and there's things that are happening a lot that we used to do, then we need to have way more people vaccinated than we have so far. And I know under 22 and younger have really been hesitant to get vaccinated. Most of the people of our age and up are pretty much doing it. But I know people that probably haven't or just haven't had the access to it. And that's another thing I'm trying to push on the side of the nation and our office is make it available in communities, and that way, and make it available after hours. Not everybody's available from 10 to 2 or 2 to whatever. It's just make it accessible, because people work, or people don't get up until they go to sleep every morning. And they'll get up in the evening, and then go, I better go get my shot. But, that's just what I want to say, because I think that I'm trying to find some kind of some kind of way of putting together a forum or an information session and bring those experts to the table to say, answer questions, answer what people are afraid of. But I also know there's some people that are way off on, I'm not going to do it because it's got a microchip in it or whatever. But I don't know. That's all I guess I want to finish with. Is my hope is that everybody can go and get the vaccine. Boys.
They should have a dance. That's what they should do. They should have a dance. But in order to go to the dance, you gotta get the vaccine.
Everybody's already going to dance.
No, but that's what I mean, everyone seems to be like, that's the main thing everyone's hurting for is the dance. So like,
bring your car, you can come to this.
There's like only. Well, we were talking about that last time, where certain concerts are, if you're vaccinated, you can go, but if you're not, then you can't come. So it's like,
I'm gonna take a picture, you guys.
Make a big old
let's do it.
Exclusive dance.
Because Tammy said, you're not in trouble as long as you are where you say you are.
Send the address.
Yeah, right. Send some coordinates.
Oh goodness.
That was my idea for you.
No, I think that's.
Well, I don't know. When we're talking about that generation, I was talking to, a lot of kids the other day. It wasn't the other day. It was a month ago. They were talking about like not even watching TV. Like the generation now is not watching TV. They're not watching the news. They might be watching things on TV, but they're not. They're either gaming or.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of disconnect, and on YouTube there's a lot of theories and conspiracies right next to the video where that's important information. Yeah. So it's like, again, misinformation, but a lot of like just not knowing any information, and then having that, what is it, a satire or just kind of not informative news for them to watch. So it's just reaching out on where they're going to be at, and I see that age group at a dance.
No, for sure, and I think that's it. Well, what the other thing they're talking about right now is incentives. You do it.
Free car.
And I'm like, dang, what are you going to give somebody? Like, oh, hey, did you want a laptop? Because we get a laptop. Show me your vaccine.
Give me a laptop. I actually need a laptop.
So, those are just types of things that is right now dealing with, but at the same time, also, those mitigation efforts like washing hands, social distancing, masks are going to hang around until we get a lot more people at the same level. And so if people are tired of that, maybe go get vaccinated. Respectfully.
Yeah.
I'm telling you what to do, but go get vaccinated. You know what? Just do
respectfully. I like it.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, there it is, people. Thank you for listening. I'm glad these guys showed up today. I think we really touched on some good stuff. And I think there should be an alien episode that we talk about.
Aliens and
Under the sea?
Yeah, sea creature.
Yeah, secret. Like the Book of Secrets. Maybe you'll have it by then. Someday you'll finally get it. Okay, but anyway, thanks for tuning in, guys. It's the Natives in America podcast, and you're talking with a couple of natives in America here. Juan Buendia, thank you for coming.
Always a pleasure. Yeah, always welcome to come back.
Oh, real quick, I noticed was that a little graphic that you put up? With the Natives in America podcast?
That's an idea for a logo.
That's really cool. I like that.
Oh,
yeah, the logo.
I was thinking about giving you a jacket for one of your kids, but I think that might be a bad idea, because then only one of them will have it.
Yeah, so they'll share. No, but I was like, hey, this is really cool. I mean, put it on stickers, put it on anything, put it out there, you know. And
figure how to do that.
And I think that's really cool. I mean, it just like pops and it tells you, and it piques interest. What is that? What is that?
Yeah.
Anything to help you guys.
I think we should. Yeah. It's coming. I think our next huge step, the big step in momentum, will be video. So they could also see our faces, but I want to get it out there. I want more followers. I think this thing's kind of taking shape, and it's getting to the point where we could start informing. We're already informing, but just like KOHN, a source for our tribe to have, and it could be. It has a potential.
Nobody else is doing it. I mean, maybe they are, but not to the degree that you are. I see some of my friends actually doing vlogs, and that's cool. Vlog your life. I mean, it just gives a perspective into something that makes us familiar with it. You know, might know them or might look like you, or I think Natives in America podcast is just real relevant to what it is, what it says. Obviously, we're natives, and we're in America, and we have problems. We got things, we got celebrations, we got things that also aren't so good. And if we don't talk about them, then we don't get past a lot of things.
Yeah.
So sorry about that.
It's a perspective. I like it.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you guys again. I really appreciate it. Of course.
Thanks for coming.
Thanks for coming,
Sky. You too. This is great that we're all here, and I look forward to more.
Yeah, this is our first.
It's our first. We've never all been in the same room.
Oh, really?
Yeah, this is the first.
Oh, cool.
All right. Yeah. Hitting the big red button. Good night, people.
Night.
Later. Peace.